Good day guys, welcome to my channel. This is how I tie my dry hopper fly. It's not difficult, it's quite simple to tie. If you find it helpful, please like and subscribe. Here are the items that I'm using for the dry fly. As you can see, rubber bands or for the legs, and then deer hair I'm using. And all these items, I'll leave the links in the description if you want to get some for yourself. So I use these foam sheets. They're about A4 paper size and 3mm thick, and you can buy them in a pack with I think 24 sheets in one pack. So as you can see, here's two hoppers that I tied, and very basic, nothing fancy, but they do the job, and they float well and drift very well. So not many items you need for this to tie this fly, basic stuff and only a few tools. So yes, it's also very quick to tie these flies. These hooks, I find them very strong, and they work very well for me. I find them quite nice for the dry fly because they've got quite a wide gap. They're a nice size for the hopper, and they are very sharp, so I prefer them. This is the way that I make sure that the size of the foam in relation with the hook is the correct size, by holding it next to the hook and then marking it with a pen to see exactly how far from the shank of the hook the foam for the body must overlap. So you want to leave enough foam in the front of the hook, because we're going to bend it over backwards and tie it to the back for the head of the hopper. So it needs to be long enough, so one can also always just cut it at the end if it's too long. I cut it about 1 centimeter wide, the foam. The yellow foam will be a little bit shorter because we're not going to allow it to go past the eye of the hook. Otherwise, if there's too much material on the front, it's going to be too bulky. So we measure it out the same length at the back of the hook, but only to the eye, and cut it at the eye. So now what I want to do is I want to measure out where I'm going to make 2 holes, and it will be right at the eye and at the bend of the shank of the hook, right at the bend. So you make 2 marks with a marker right in the middle, and then I just use a needle or a punch to just make a hole in the foam. Sorry, I put it the wrong way around. So what's nice about this is you can use super glue, glue the hook to the foam, and it makes it more rigid so that the hook doesn't twist in the foam. Just spread the glue out nicely with a bobbin or needle and leave it to dry a little bit. So what we're using next is like a multi-purpose glue. We have to glue both sides and then leave it for a few minutes to dry, and then you can join the 2 parts together after that and squeeze down on it. One must make sure that you spread it evenly all over, otherwise it's not going to be glued properly together and maybe come apart. Yeah, so we'll just leave it a bit and allow it to dry for a few minutes. Make sure not to put glue on the foam where it extends from the eye of the hook. So only if you only use glue where the actual hook is. So yes, we can join the two parts now and then press it down nicely so that it's properly glued together. So as you can see, the hook is nicely embedded in between the two foam pieces and also nice in the middle. So now we're just going to trim it, tapering towards the back of the body. So one must just make sure that you cut it evenly on both sides, otherwise it will not look nicely. One can also cut it with a little bit in towards the eye of the hook to make it, give it more of a oval shape. So now I'm just going to tie like a lasso in the thread, and not too big, and then we're going to make another just a normal plain knot so that the lasso doesn't come loose, to tighten it properly. This can be a little bit tricky. One must hold it steady and make sure it's nicely around the end, not too far away from the end, but also not too close to the end, and then just pull it down and then make another knot to secure it and that it doesn't come loose. So now what I want to do is create the segments in the body to make it look natural. So it's important to make sure that you spread the loops out evenly across the body and to tighten it. So what I do is I squeeze the foam on both sides a little bit so that I don't have to pull on the string too hard, and then it will create that segmented look, that natural segmented look like a real insect. Okay, so right at the end by the eye, one can just tie it down a little bit, not too much, otherwise you weaken the foam, so you don't want to tighten it too much. Okay, so we trim off the end at the back to tidy it up a little bit, and then just make sure everything is nicely intact and that it's straight. So now we want to measure out the wings of the hopper, and we also cut it with like a tapered shape towards the back, and try and trim it nice and evenly. Also oval kind of shape to make it look natural. So one must also make sure that it's not overlapping. The wings are too long, and it's going to also catch a lot of wind when one casts, so it needs to be not too bulky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop the thread backwards to about almost in the middle of the body and tie the wing down so that the wing doesn't flare when one casts, and it's going to affect the casting. So I'm tying the wing a little bit down to make it more easier to cast. I'm just making easy knotless knots, loops over loops. I suppose one can use a tool for that, but I've been doing it only with my hands for many years, so it's easier for me and quicker for me. So then you cut the wing at the end, the foam, in half. It's not 100% in half, but it will do. And then just adjust it and make sure it's nicely even and in the middle and straight. So now we're going to cut some of the deer hair that we're going to use. Don't want to use too much and make it too bulky, but just enough to make it look real and fuzzy. Yeah, I forgot to secure the thread first. So it's important to space or to place the deer hair in such a way that it's not too far to the back, and that there's enough that one can fold backwards and tie down. So what happens is it will flare up quite a lot, and I'm going to use a little bit of super glue to maybe just tie it down a little bit, or to make it lie down or flat. Don't use too much super glue because otherwise it will run with the hair and it will make the whole thing solid and unnatural looking. So you just want a little bit and just comb it backwards like that until it lays flat. So now also trim some of the hair that's sticking out on the sides to make sure it looks more natural, not sticking out on the sides too much. So now we're folding back the front foam and we're going to tie the head. So also not to tie down too tight, because we still have to also tie down the legs, the rubber legs. So we also want to make sure there's still room for securing the thread. So basically just put the rubber legs in the middle and just loop it a few times, and then on the other side exactly the same. I don't want the legs to be too long, because then it might cause the hopper to go off balance or to twist in the water. So I just want it to be, the legs to be long enough to give movement and to make it look natural, but not too long. So I'm also using a little bit of super glue to just make sure everything is nicely glued down and it's not going to come apart casting or with wear and tear. If it's too long, then the fly might tilt over to on its side, or it could affect the natural movement. Yes, so here you go, guys. This is basically it. I just trim it a little bit and tidy it up some more, and then that's my hopper that I use. Nothing fancy. You don't need or fancy tools to make it. This is very simple and basic, but it gets the job done. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe if you felt the video was helpful in any way. Hope you have a nice day.